you guys enjoy this screening, the word will get out about Beavis and Butthead, and a lot of people will come to the next screening. We want to talk a little bit. We want to take you back to 1996 for a minute. When Beavis and Butthead opened at the box office in December 1996, it did about $20 million the opening weekend. It set a box office record for a December debut of a feature, and which was surpassed a year later by Titanic in the same month. It was also the highest opening weekend for a non-Disney animated film up to that date, and it was surpassed by Ants the following year, 1998. It certainly is a different world now in terms of box office numbers, but back then we were making history. I personally had a blast working on Beavis and Butthead, but it was hard work. What had started out as a couple of shorts made for almost nothing in Mike's garage a few years earlier became, over the course of 5 years, a global phenomenon, a series that ran for several seasons, a movie that was made for $12 million and surpassed $60 million, a merchandising juggernaut that made a lot of money for Viacom. It also bred and supported our New York MTV animation studio, which we used to call the house that Beavis built, which had a great 10-year run before disappearing into history. All this grew from the mind of a brilliantly original comedic and artistic talent who had come into all our lives a mere 4 years earlier with a number of hilarious short films to his credit and a mind full of more great characters begging to come out. From the day I met Mike Judge, he seemed like the real thing, a unique, brilliant, and original talent who I was sure would take off in a big way. Once his series got the MTV exposure and he got a handle on what kind of career he wanted to have, he began his great and interesting career that he's had since. Yvette and I and many others were privileged to work with him in what I think of as his middle years and to watch all that come to fruition. That's my part.
Well, that's great, very eloquent. The preview of Kaplan and Andrews. The first time I ever saw Beavis and Butthead, I had been asked to come on board in the development of a show MTV would start about two really bad boys. I was told this because I was on hiatus from a really sweet children's show at the time. And I didn't know if I could really do this, but from what I heard, but okay, I sat down, came into the studio and sat down to watch the prototype short, which was Mike Judge's Frost Baseball. Yay. Everybody know that? And I remember, I actually never forget the feeling that I had because it wasn't anything that I was expecting, and my reaction wasn't anything I was expecting, but I felt the delight just going from my toes all the way up my body and coming out my mouth in gales of laughter. Because, yeah, they were a little gross, a little crude, a little vulgar, but just really misguided, I thought. And somehow I saw innocence and these two pure spirits that just wanted to do what they wanted to do and have fun, and that was it. And I loved them. And a few hours later, I had the pleasure and the amazing experience of meeting Mike Judge for the first time. And that was it. When I met him, there was no turning back. I shortly left the good boys for the bad boys. And I never met a creator before at that time, or since really, with the kind of intensity, the perceptions, and as certain of his vision and of his characters as Mike was. He wasn't working anything out like we do when we're developing a show. He didn't have to feel them out. He wasn't trying to find them in the new situations of the script. They were fully formed. They were whole and complete and pure. And my good fortune, my ultimate, really best luck, was I somehow was able to get into his head. I think it's because we were both big fans of Jerry Lewis and loved The Nutty Professor. That's no secret. But whatever reason, I was able to get into his head, and lucky that he entrusted me with his two boys. And that was on the series. I was the supervising director on the series with John all the way through. And then this is culminating with this movie that I'm prouder of than anything I've ever done. And, you know, I hope that in the future there'll be something else, but right now this is the pinnacle. So, it's a great movie. Everyone who worked on it gave their all for Mike, for me, for John, and for Beavis and Butthead, and some of them are here right now. So I'd like to introduce Chris Brown, who was the head writer on the series. Incredible talented writer, doing tons of wonderful
Head
things.
fixer on the
He waves, huh? And very instrumental in the additional writing on this movie. And Michael Rose, my art director, who went to Korea to make sure all of our artwork was beautiful, painted half the backgrounds himself. Rhonda Cox, who is my production coordinator and studio photographer. And also just found out that Tom Warburton is here. Where are you, Tom? Tom worked on the very first season of Beavis and Butthead.
Anybody else here who worked on the Beavis and Butthead series or movie?
Well, What? I'm just kidding. You just kidding? I wanted to.
You're an honorary member of the crew.
Okay, is there anybody here who never saw Beavis and Butthead before? What?
The movie.
The movie? You never saw the movie? Hey.
She figured being hired as a co-producer was good enough.